Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about vinyl mastering and what can go wrong. Anyway, so what's happened is I was asked to do a track for this landmark release. The EP is going to be out on vinyl. There's going to be various artists. There's going to be 8 tracks, so 8 artists. I believe there's 8 artists. I think it's 8 different artists, and I don't think anyone's done 2 tracks on there. I think it's just 1 each, so it's 8 artists, 8 tracks. We were all asked to provide a -6 dB master, or pre-master. So I've done that, and I've made sure that it's all spectrally balanced, and basically pre-master as a mastering engineer would do. So when they get the file, they'll be able to see, right, everything's been done on this. They won't need to do anything because it's all done. And the other thing, the reason why it's -6 dB is so all your peaks, it's called crest factor, and basically it's all your peaks. The needle is mechanical, so it moves up and down, left and right, and so the waveform needs to be dynamic so it can translate to the lacquer, so the needle can receive it. So basically the label owner said to me, I'll send you a test press. So there's only going to be 5 of these. It's going to be extremely rare, blah, blah, blah. So I've got the test press and I listened to it and it's absolutely shocking. It's been totally squashed. It sounds all congested. The dynamics are all gone. It just sounds terrible. The whole, my track, I only really listened to my track. And straight away I was like, hey, whoa, hang on a minute, this sounds awful. So it sounded to me like it had been heavily limited. And so I've gone back to him and I said, this sounds like it's been limited, it sounds awful. He says, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on? And I said, I've just put that on. And he said, are you sure you're not just being overcritical because you're a mastering engineer? I said, it could be that, but actually no, it's definitely, this is, no, beyond that, it sounds terrible. And so he said to me, he says, well, I've approved the masters that they sent to me. And I was like, oh, they've sent you masters back. So all they would have done would have been just to make sure that they're all the same level and make sure that each one is spectrally balanced, and that's it. So I said, hang on a minute, can you send me those masters over? So he said, yeah. So that evening he sent me the masters over, and straight away, exactly what I'd said had happened. They've been peak limited right up to -7 LUFS, and I'm like, that's a digital master. They've mastered that for digital. Why have they done that? Now, the only conclusion that I can make is for a digital master even to be made from a vinyl cutting house would be for demonstration purposes, which he approved, So the label owner's not in the wrong here. The label owner's done his job. He said, yeah, they sound good. That's all he needed to say. They sound good, right? Everything else is onto the cutting house. The cutting house should then go back to the vinyl masters. So take the extra processing off that was done for digital, go back to the vinyl masters and do the cut, but they didn't. They've used the full digital masters, -7 LUFS, and I can hear that. You can hear it clearly on the vinyl. So the label owner said to me, can you put this in writing? He said, I'm not technical. He said, I'm not technical. Can you put this in writing? So I said, no problem. No problem. I will write I will write it as technical as it needs to get the message across. I'm not going to sit there and go heavily into detail, all the mastering terms and everything like that. But just to basically explain that what had happened. So I've put an image of both the files, the original one that I sent, which was the pre-master, and you can see all the dynamics in it, and the one that they'd sent to him that he approved. And I said, it looks like there's been a mix-up because these are digital masters and that's what sounds like has been used for the cut. So basically, I said to the label owner, here you go, as discussed, I've put an email together for you. Here it is below. So I've then written an email underneath, addressing it to the guy at the cutting house, and I said the label owner has asked me to get in touch regarding recent test presses for this particular project, as I prepared one of the supplied tracks as a vinyl pre-master and have since investigated the issue after hearing test pressing, and basically showed him the difference between the two waveforms, so he could see that the one that they'd sent back was a squashed right to the wall minus 7 LUFS file, which is a digital, So I said, well, this is what was sent back to approve. Now, I would assume that the only reason they would have to make a digital master when it's a vinyl only release, the only reason they'd have to make a digital master is just for approval, so it sounds good. So this is what it's going to sound like in the real world. So he said, yeah, sounds good. It's got good bass. It's got good treble. It's good balance. Yep, fine. Go ahead. He's not listening for, mid-side EQ on the low end, and he's not listening for, peak limiting or anything like that. He just wants to hear that it sounds good, spectrally balanced. It sounds good. And that's what he said. He said, yeah, that sounds fine. It sounded fine. That's all I needed to know. So I asked a couple of questions. Why was it like this? And anyway, so I got an email this morning back from the guy from the cutting house. This is a different person to the one I addressed. And he said that the person that I addressed has got the test pressing, the back. The label had to send the test press back to the cutting house for them to listen to it, and he said, oh, he's got it, and he would check to see if anything has changed during the cut. But it was a flat cut from the approved masters. Now, approved masters would assume that, these are the masters, they're spectrally balanced, take all of the stuff for digital back off and then cut them onto the lacquer. This is what you would expect to happen, but they didn't. They've gone ahead and left all of that processing on the top of it, and basically they've said to me, just so you can understand the process here in order, was placed for 8 tracks for approval before the cutting of the lacquers. These masters were approved and used for the cut. So basically they've used digital masters that they'd sent to the label owner, which sounded great on digital system. So any discrepancy with the audio should have been flagged up at the mastering stage, right? Well, there was no problem with the audio except it had been mastered for digital. Now, for approval. So you'd think that they would take that digital processing back off as soon as I go to cut the lacquer. Naturally, you'd think that's what would happen. They came back to me. In fact, I've not seen this yet. I appreciate your queries but none of this really detailed and important information was submitted before the job started, and only now that an issue has occurred. Masters for approval were ordered and should have been checked with all interests in the project before approving them. And if they had been, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. I will update you when I have news from the label owner. So I've gone from the owner of the cutting house, sorry. So I've gone back to the label owner and I've said, they've emailed me, this is my response, I've copied the label owner in. He's absolutely blew his stack. He said, why are they not talking to me? Why did they not copy me into this email? He's the label owner. He's the person that spent the money. He's the person that's put all the time into it, spending money putting the artwork together, putting everything around the release, not just the cut, but getting all the artists together, everything else. So it's like, why I'm the one that they should be talking to, not some, he said, no offense, but I shouldn't really be in this, only if they've got a technical question. I only put the technicalities there. I just said, basically, this is what we sent, this is what we've got back, you know. And of course it sounds good to a label owner. That's it. That's all it needed to do. Basically, this is where we stand, and the label owner has been forced into submission, and he's either going to lose all of his money that is put into this because they're refusing to do another cut from the masters that they should have cut from, rather than these digital masters. Now, any cutting engineer would know that these are not appropriate for cutting vinyl. So with that regard, this company should absolutely not be in business. If this is the way that they're carrying on, they should know how a vinyl master works. They should know, I mean, it says on their website that they've been in business for like 15 years or something. But I don't know what's happened, why they've done this, how long they've been getting away with doing this. You know, how many other people have put money into this and got bad masters, bad test presses back, bad releases. How many other people have this has happened to? I don't know. But this is, you know, this is on them. This is really is absolutely on the cutting house. The label owner is completely innocent in all of this. All he's done is said they sound good. That's it, which they do. That's all he needed to say. They then should take up all of the technical processing that needs to be done to make those masters work for a mechanical cut, and that's it. But they didn't. They've used the digital masters. Why? Why would a label do that and then argue the toss rather than saying, sorry, that's on us. This is what should have happened. Sorry, that's on us. We've messed up. Here, we'll do you another cut. We'll send you out some more test presses. Hopefully we'll get it right this time. We're really sorry about that. We'll expedite it for you. This is how it should have gone. But what's happened is the label owner is now taking up all of that. And so if this goes out like it is, it's everybody's name. It's the label. The label, if that goes out in the state that is future releases, it could impact on that, because a lot of the records are mail order, so people will get it and sounds a bit rough, you know. Even if you're not an audiophile or a mastering guy or anything like that, you'll hear it, and you can hear it. Anybody would hear that. And so basically this is their fault 100%. And they are not accepting responsibility. And this is why people like this should not be in business. Absolutely. So this is pretty much where the story tails off. And it's not a good ending, because like I say, he's now in a position where he's either going to have to accept this terrible master that they've done, this terrible press that they've done, which is their fault. They should have taken that extra digital processing off in the mastering stage. And if he doesn't accept it as it is, he's lost all his money. All that money that is ploughed into it, he hasn't got the money to go again. And basically, not only is his future releases could take a toll on it, but also all of the artists. Myself as a mastering engineer, I can't, you know, that's going to, if that goes out like it is, I'm going to be like, well, I don't want to accept responsibility. Mastering wasn't mine, you know. I pre-mastered it. I didn't master it. You know, if I'd have been involved in the mastering process, I would have done a whole load of really good pre-masters. They would have been crystal clear, all ready for release, as I have done in the past. I've done, you know, I've mastered for vinyl. You know, over the years, I've done quite a lot of mastering for vinyl. But even so, the point is, you know, he just got it all done in-house, because if it's done in-house, then if it goes wrong, it's on them, you know. Well, it didn't. It went wrong, and they've now put it onto the label owner. This is terrible practice. So I'd like to hear in the comments what you think about this, and I'm sure the first thing you'll say is, who was it? Now, obviously, as a YouTuber, I don't want to get into any legal battles with anything like that. So I'm not mentioning any names, as you can see. However, if you want to put in the comments, if you know more about this and you want to put in the comments and you want to expose them, that's down to you. And so, but I personally don't think these guys should be in business. There are cutting houses that I would absolutely use, and there are cutting houses that I wouldn't touch with a barge pole. This is one of them. And this is shocking practice. And I don't care what anybody says, but these guys should absolutely not be in business. So if I could reveal who that was, I would be more than happy to. I would absolutely sing it from the rooftops. Watch out, don't go to these guys, you're going to lose a lot of money. But I can't say anything as a YouTuber, so it's down to the comment section. So if you know anything, I'll leave it up to you. If you want to say something, if you know who it is and you think that these should be exposed, the comments are nothing to do with me. I didn't write them, so go ahead. I'd like to hear what you say about the whole situation, and thanks ever so much for watching. Bye for now.